Today's episode, and actually the following episode, we're going to dedicate to how to prepare yourself, position your business and your practice, and get ready to seize the opportunities that always come with tumultuous times.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey, Pete, you there? I was hoping you were going to be there. What's up, everybody? We're super excited to be with you once again as we go into our fourth year of this awesome podcast. I'll call it awesome. I think it's awesome. Let's call it remarkable, Pete. What do you say, man? My experience with you has just been so awesome, and you certainly you make it just a remarkable offering for the chiropractic profession that we love so much, man. So I just so appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man. It's great to be together, and it's hard to believe we are in year 4, but when time flies, when you're having fun and hopefully making a bigger impact. So appreciate you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your friendship. And thank you to all of our amazing listeners who are on the journey with us. We appreciate you too.
Amen. And what a first 3 years it was, right? And here we go, coming into our fourth year here. Promises to be as exciting and interesting as the first 3. So for those of you who are feeling like, you know what, I needed this last 12 months, maybe our Australians and our Canadians are quite like, what are you guys talking about? We're still in the throes of the storm here. But the last 12 months have really been a breath of fresh air, really. It's been an opportunity for us to enjoy a renaissance in chiropractic, lots and lots of success and growth in chiropractic throughout the world, definitely inside of our remarkable practice. Doctors' practices has just been awesome to be part of that. And as predicted, it was a renaissance period for chiropractic, right? The biggest growth that we've ever seen, and we've enjoyed that. Lots of new patients, lots of people returning to practice, reactivations, and as the world opened back up, they poured back out into the streets, back out into the communities, and back into the chiropractic offices. It was great to see, right? So, and everybody needed that. Everybody enjoyed that. And here we go, Dr. Pete. So this here we come into a new season that promises to be incredibly interesting and challenging, right? So what promises to be some tumultuous economic times ahead. Today's episode, and actually the following episode, we're going to dedicate to how to prepare yourself, position your business and your practice, and get ready to seize the opportunities that always come with tumultuous times. I'm super excited about this, and I'll make sure that these doctors have pen in hand, have their journals out and ready, because we're going to be just dropping some bombs that are going to help you not only recession-proof your business, but really seize the day. Carpe Diem, as my father loves to say, seize the opportunities ahead, because it promises to be an extraordinary season of challenge, chaos, and of course, opportunity.
So with that in mind, I want to start, before you even know what we're going to talk about here today, I want to start with asking you a question. And it really is going to have 2 parts to it. The question is, how big is your vision? I want to ask you that question because the answer to that question is going to be revealed through what we're about to walk through here in this conversation today, Dr. Stephen. It's how big is your vision? And I want to unpack the word big. There's 2 parts to big. One is, how much impact do you see in your vision? And number 2 is, how long is your vision? How far do you see? So 2 parts to how big is your vision. It's how much impact do you see in your vision? And number 2, how long, how far is your vision? I believe that's going to be a really important question for us to answer. And I believe that, Doc, as we have the conversation that we're prepared to have today, you and I, and with all of you who are in this conversation with us, and I'm sure we'll be having this moving forward, it really comes back to me, Dr. Stephen, back to that one question is, Number one is, what is your vision? And I hope that all of you, if you're a listener to this podcast, you've heard us talk about how significant it is as the CEO. Your first objective is casting vision, which means you have to have a vision so you can cast it. So the question I'm asking you is more specific today. It's about the quality of the vision. It's how big is it, meaning how much weight is in it, how much impact is in it, and then the other part is a time question, which is how far out do you see, Dr. Stephen?
Huge. So, today we have an opportunity to get out ahead of what promises to be a crazy season, right? So there's a massive advantage here because it gives us an opportunity to prepare for it, okay? So, and we want to talk about 3 very specific ways to prepare for this upcoming season, if you will, as we titled Recession Proofing Your Practice. It's going to be a 3-step process that we're going to discuss and unpack. The first is going to be about preparing yourself, right? So the second will be about preparing your team. And the third will be about preparing your practice, not for lean times, not for times of scarcity, but for times of opportunity and times of abundance, right? So listen, the economy is a waterbed. It's down in some areas, it's up in others, right? So we want to be able to get out ahead of this thing and take a look at it and be like, where's all the opportunity? Dr. Pete, we know that, the fortunes are made in the downturns, right? So man, I'm actually excited looking ahead, being like, man, the crazier things get and the more tumultuous this economic environment becomes, the more opportunity, right? So, for me, that's my attitude. And I really want to invite people into the eye of the storm with us right now, because as things, you can feel it already, right? You can almost sense it around you that, there's the storm is starting to spin around us, this unrest, this uncertainty, right? So we're going to invite you into the eye of the storm, and for you to recognize that to be in the world but not of the world is going to serve you so well. To be able to come into the calm of the storm and create an environment where your practice, your business is the calm in the storm, the eye of the storm, so that you can have clarity and confidence to make decisions to seize the opportunities that will be presenting themselves. Dr. Pete, as people panic and there's anxiety and stress all around you, you don't have to participate in that, right? If you recognize that there is opportunity here and you go into this with a positivity and you have strategy and a plan in place to capitalize on all this opportunity and expect tremendous growth. The cool thing about anxiety is it's the same physiology as excitement. And the only difference between anxiety and excitement is really an attitude, right? So as you look to the future, let's make sure that we choose our attitude as we go forward, that of one of positivity and opportunity. You may not always be able to change your situation, but you can always choose your attitude. And as much as choosing your attitude might not change your circumstances, it'll absolutely change your experience of them and your performance within them. So number one, the most important thing is that we're going to start with yourself and prepare you to stay in the calm of the eye of the storm, to be in this world, but not of this world.
Yeah, Doc, it goes back to, for me, what you're talking about is your philosophy. We talk about, if you're a chiropractor, we talk about the philosophy of chiropractic, and the philosophy of chiropractic, or a principled chiropractor or a principled chiropractic practice, is one that, we are from above down, inside out. That's how we view the body. That's how we teach health. That's how we bring people to this aha moment, this epiphany, right? They come to this place of realization, of revelation. We do that in our work. Well, it must apply to how we view our business, just like it applies to how we view the body. If a patient comes in our office with a bag full of drugs, all these diagnoses from the doctors, I go like this. I'm like, let me at them. Like, get them into my ecosystem, bring them into my world, because I have a different paradigm. I have a different philosophy. I see from a new perspective. And once you see it from my perspective, and then you take action according to what we have as strategically laid out, you will see transformation on the other side. Guess what? The same applies to your businesses. A lot of times, unfortunately, people walk around like the person with all the diagnoses and the bag full of drugs, and you're going to work like that. And you're like, oh, well, CNN said this, and, the president said this, and my father-in-law said that, and, my pastor is like this. And then you come in and you're like, what happened? It's like, you need to get into a principled chiropractic office, and you need to get some principle, and you get adjusted. And so what we're hoping this is going to be is a little bit of that for you, Dr. Stephen. I love that you talked about, during this time, during downturns, fortunes are made. And I was thinking about my brother-in-law, Drew. So I just found this out, actually. I'm visiting my family in New Jersey. If you love my new backdrop, we're doing a little summer road trip right now, living a remarkable practice and a remarkable life. And I was talking to my father-in-law about my brother-in-law, Drew, who opened a restaurant right at the beginning of the pandemic. And we were talking about this, and he shared some things with me I didn't know. But essentially, it was like they had done a build out and invested all this time, energy, and money, and they were getting ready to open in like February, March, and then we all know what happened. It shut down. Well, my father-in-law said, Drew looked around. He's like, we got to do something. I mean, they were on the phone with the mayor. They were on the phone. They were with the planning board. They were meeting with all the different people in the town, the town commissioner, the county, whoever, all the people. And they were the first people that were like, we're going to figure out how to keep our doors open, and we're going to launch, we're going to open, and we're going to sell. And they absolutely blew up during the pandemic when, most restaurants were shutting down or slowing down or stopping. This guy launched his business and blew up during that time. And the reason why, in my opinion, based on what you said, Doc, is it was like, what? We have one option only. We're going to succeed. And so we're going to seize this opportunity. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make it happen. And we're just going to keep knocking and turning stones until we figure out a way. And I love that mindset. You talked about, the mindset it's about choosing an attitude. And it brings me back to the kind of that triple threat position as well that I thought about, during the pandemic, when the question was who you're being, what are you seeing, and who are you serving? So I'm going to ask you that question right now. Who are you being? What are you seeing? And who are you serving? Because who you're being, you're either being an offensive or a defensive person. I mean, that happens every day of our life. I find myself in some conversations like, why am I being so defensive right now? You need to check yourself. But, if we're offensive means I'm taking a view of opportunity. The second is, what am I seeing? I either see problems or I see opportunities. And during times, difficult, challenging times, turbulent times, it's really important that we've put the goggles on that see opportunity and don't see problems. I'm not saying we live in ignorance and we're not brutal facts type people. I'm saying we just don't allow those things to have influence over how we perceive it and how we respond fully. We have a higher perspective. And then the third is who you serving. And I think, Doc, I want to finish with this. I'll throw it over to you. Is, what? You either serve yourself or you serve others. And if you want to implode, serve yourself. If you want to explode, serve others. And so if you want to see your business grow during any time, focus on serving others and watch what will happen. And so that, to me, it's if you can be on offense, take the steps, take the action, make the phone calls, do the things you need to do. Number two is see the opportunities around you, which means you got to open your eyes, you got to stop, you got to slow down, you got to pause, you got to listen. And the third is ask yourself, who can we serve right now? And focus on that. And I say, when you do those three things, Doc, you yourself, you're prepared.
Man, that mindset, that viewpoint, that outlook is so critical. I love the expression, if you want to make millions of dollars, solve millions of problems. If you want to make millions of dollars, help millions of people, right? So, we're coming into a time where there's going to be millions of problems and there's going to be millions of people that need your help. So who are you going to be? Who are you ready? Are you stepping up and saying, man, I'm stoked. I'm psyched. I'm going to see there's going to be a lot of stress in my community. And man, when there's higher levels of stress in this community, do you need chiropractic care more or less, man? So, man, there's so much opportunity. In fact, this deserves its own episode, Dr. Pete. In our next episode, we're going to unpack what I would consider the 4 unusual suspects. Like, these are going to be counterintuitive. Like, where do we see the opportunities coming up in this next season? That'll be a conversation for our next episode. But for this one, we're going to go to the number 2 on preparing yourself. Recession proofing would be your team. like come get your team together, right? And here's where we want to have a lot of sensitivity, right? So we want to be careful that we're not imprinting on our team negativity, right? So we don't want to create fear or doubt or panic or a limited mindset or a scarcity mindset with our team. But we also, it's truth and love, right? So we want to have integrity here and embrace the brutal facts of here's the situation. This is what's going to be going on, because they're going to hear it. If they don't hear it inside the practice, they're going to hear it outside the practice. I want them to hear it from you first. I want you to get out in front of this thing and say, hey, we're preparing. We're preparing for this season ahead, for the storm ahead. And you know what? We're going to be positioned just perfectly. We're not going to be surprised. We're going to be positioned perfectly to capitalize on this. We're going to be positioned as a solution to what the biggest problem people are going to be facing in the community, which is going to be an incredibly stressful environment, which promises to be an incredibly stressful environment. So as leaders, we want to predict, we want to plan, we're going to perform, and we're going to prosper, right? And we're going to make sure that our team knows that we've shown up on the ready. This does not surprise us. We saw this coming, and we are positioned perfectly, and we have a plan, and we're going to execute this plan and prosper.
Doc, I remember when, we talked about in the Phoenix plan, the stabilization stages. And, I remember revisiting this with doctors, even as recent as this year, and just the gratitude, the thanks that so many docs have, like, man, I was so thankful, like, that we had that framework. We had this, strategy. We had this mindset and support and these steps to follow. And I think what you just walked through is really important. The first one being predict. So predictions can oftentimes can be like, instead of serving as a positive, can actually be more negative, right? It's like bad news versus good news. Like, what you're saying, Doc, is that we can recognize and see what's coming and see what's happening, and as a prediction, actually go out ahead of it and say, and here's how we are going to respond to that, right? So the prediction doesn't put you in a place of paralysis. It actually puts you in a position of action, right? So the prediction actually serves you. It doesn't suppress you, right? It's something that it inspires you to take action, right? Into motion, to take action and movement. Then that leads to the second step, which is to plan, right? And we talked about this in our Appear series, like, how do you want to manifest your vision? It starts with what? The first thing is planning, right? So planning means you actually sit down and you come up with a game plan, which means you have to look at all the opportunities, you have to troubleshoot, you have to look at the threats, you have to look at all these things. So that requires time, energy, and focus. And remarkable CEOs, you know what you do? You take time to work on yourself, on your business, and plan, and you do that with your team so that everyone is on board, everyone is on the same page. The third thing you do, once you plan, is you prepare, and then you execute. That's the perform. It doesn't mean like, man, we knew exactly what was going to happen and we nailed it. No, it means like, hey, we thought it was going to be, this is plan A. We got plan B, C, D. And you know what? If push comes to shove and we got to turn left, we can go left because we already mapped it out. If we take a detour, we already know another route. We've got it. Why? We thought it. That's the planning. And then the performing, that enables us to perform fully without holding back, knowing we can also pivot as we go and adapt, which we also learned during the pandemic. We've developed these muscles and this fitness for such a time as this. And the last, Doc, I love, which you talked about, is prospering. The team prospers first internally because they have peace of mind. They have job security. They know they're making a bigger impact. They know they're having value and meaning because they're helping transform people's lives, as well as creating a financial return on investment during this time, like you said, where the money is there. It's just shifting hands. It's just changing. And guess what? You were there prepared and ready. Doc, this is just so important, for us as a leader, and then for our teams to have this mindset going into these times.
This is leadership, right? So your team is following you. That's why you're the leader. And just like children look to their parents when things seem uneasy or uncertain, and the parents, all they want to see is their parents go, it's okay. It's going to be all right. Yeah, I got this, right? So we got this. Don't worry. We know exactly what to do, right? So you're not reacting. You are responding to the opportunity in front. And we have a plan, and the plan is not just to survive but thrive. We're going to capitalize on the opportunities that we're facing because of this changing environment. So we put together a plan that allows us to capitalize on the situation, not just navigate it, not just survive it, right? So we're going to position ourselves so perfectly that we're going to be the exact solution to the very problem that the community is going to be facing. And we are uniquely qualified to deliver just that, right? So that brings us to that third stage of preparation. Recession-proofing your practice, recession-proofing your business is preparing your practice, right? So that means your patients and your community, frankly, around you, right? So, and this has everything to do with branding. This has everything to do with brand promise. This has everything to do with brand messaging, right? So remember, you're a business, and we're in the business of saving lives, right? So the purpose of a business is to solve a problem for another person. The purpose of a business is to add value by solving a problem for another person, right? So guess what's going to come with economic uncertainty, okay? There's going to be upset, there's going to be fear, there's going to be stress, okay? So ultimately, do you have chiropractic, do you have your practice positioned as the place where you go to make sure that your nervous system is functioning optimally, positioned so that people understand that the nervous system is the system that allows you to adapt readily and appropriately to stressors? Does your community know that it's your nervous system that allows you to adapt and cope to stress, in fact, thrive through stress environment? Are you positioned as the expert on their healthcare team to keep their nervous system clear so that they're able to adapt readily and appropriately to the stresses that will come with uncertainty and upsetting economic times?
Doc, I love how you framed it this way as well, that, stage 3 is preparing your practice, and your practice includes two groups of people, your patients and your community. It's not the time to abandon your community. This is actually the time to embrace your community. It's not, you're not just, embracing your patients and trying to, just salvage what's left. It's actually a time to lean in. It's actually, it's time to look at your table talk and sharpen your table talk. It's time to ramp up your marketing, right? It's time to take your A game and bring it to the table and look at your team and say, hey, A players only. It's time to seize the day, like your dad said. This is the time. And so, but it's not just for our patients. It's all about the community as well. And I want my patients to be looking out into the community. And I'm asking them, who do you know during this time that's struggling? Who do you know right now that's going through a challenge, a hard time? Did you know that adding, that level of stress into someone's life can lead to all these health complications and challenges? The nervous system is being strained massively. Let's make sure they get in. They come to our patient appreciation event. They come to our dinner workshop. They come to our advanced workshop. They come to our whatever, just bring them straight in. It doesn't have to be even a campaign, bring them in. So at the end of the day, guys, this is an opportunity time. And there's never been a better time, than, like you said, Doc, when the going gets tough and the stress is up and the nervous system is being just thwarted, this is the most important time. Chiropractic is not an option, and it's not something that people drop during tough or tight times. Because chiropractic isn't a treatment, right? Chiropractic is a strategy. It's very different, guys. It's not a treatment. It's a strategy. Yes, it is a treatment for a specific condition called subluxation. And yes, there are very specific named conditions that have subluxation at the root of it that chiropractic can help with. But chiropractic is a strategy. And during these moments and these times, people need to be strategic. So you need to be doing strategic things when it comes to your health. And there's nothing more strategic during a time of stress or health crisis than to address the root of the issue and get to the cause. And that's why you are more relevant even now than before. Doc, I know that we love taking care of folks that are hurting and they're in a crisis, and we're excellent at that. But we do that so that we have an opportunity to educate them about what's true, about the root cause. And that's what we do in our businesses better than anyone. And so the most important time for us to be opening our mouths, like you said, and reaching into our communities is now.
Man, when you were talking, Dr. Pete, I just went flashback to a visual, a heartfelt visual of when Camilla and I my wife Camilla, when we first rolled into Beverly, Massachusetts, when we first rolled into town, and there's the big sign, welcome to Beverly, we literally got out of the car with a flag and we planted a flag and we said, this is our town. This is our community. And there's only two types of patients or people in a community as far as I'm concerned. There's active patients and inactive patients. Those are the only two segments. These are active patients who are actively following our chiropractic care recommendations, and there's those that are not, but they're all patients. These are all my community. Yeah, you can further segment that into previously active patients and people that have never been in the office before, but frankly, there's only two types of people walking around in my town: active patients and inactive patients, right? So yeah, this is for everyone in the community to recognize. It's like, listen, our purpose is to add value by solving a problem for other people. So recognize that as you are addressing your community, translation, as you are marketing, whether that's internally with your table talk, with your workshop, with your advanced workshops, or it's externally with networking and digital and doing outside talks and corporate wellness programs and whatever billboards you're doing and any digital marketing that you're doing, your social media, your SEO, whatever you're putting on your website, however you're branding yourself, making sure that you're positioning yourself in the marketplace to be the person that solves that problem. Stress makes people sick. Everybody knows that. Are you positioned properly as being the place where somebody goes to make sure that their nervous system's functioning optimally so they can thrive in these stressful times? That will be the problem that people will be facing. Listen, when stress goes up, symptoms go up. Right. So when stress goes up, the symptoms of subluxation go up. The crises, the conditions that people are facing, guess what? The body signals go up. And it's time for you to dust off that body signals narrative if you haven't been using it. Dr. Pete, this is the perfect positioning, right? So what we recognize is the truth is that there's only two industries that are really recession-proof. One is the liquor store, right? And the other is healthcare, right? At the end of the day, regardless of what's going on in the economy, when people need healthcare, they seek healthcare, right? So everything else can fall from the wayside. You have to ask yourself, how is your business positioned? How is chiropractic positioned in the minds of your patients and in the community around your practice? Are you simply a crisis center where people run if they get injured? Or are you on the other far end of the spectrum where you've positioned yourself as this luxury item where it's like a med spa self-care type thing where people don't really understand the value of the adjustment or the implications of subluxation? Or have you positioned yourself ideally and perfectly for what lies ahead? And that is, chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy. All right, CEOs, as promised, I am here today in the studio with a new friend of mine, old friend of Dr. Stevens, Dr. Elizabeth Welch from PostureFit. I've had an opportunity to get to know Dr. Liz just this year. And first of all, Doc, I love your heart. I love your story, your mission. We're so aligned. There's so much congruency and alignment between your heart, your vision, your mission, your business, and what we do in the remarkable practice. So you're not only a chiropractor who's been serving humanity for decades, you also have a business that service for chiropractors to serve their patients, which you've developed. Can't wait to hear your story. First of all, just welcome to the Remarkable CEO podcast. So happy to have you joining me here today.
Thanks so much, Dr. Pete. Appreciate it. So happy to be here.
So Dr. Welch, you are a remarkable success partner, which is why you're here. You're one of the businesses that we have identified and formed a partnership with because you align with our values and our vision, and you support the doctors in so many ways. And so I want to talk about your business today and specifically how you do that. You are a CEO. You have a practice. You've scaled that practice. You also have started another business. So for all you CEOs listening right now, this is a doc who has done some of the things that you all many of you want to do or are currently doing or thinking about doing, which is scaling your business and opening multiple businesses, which is what Doc has done. Doc, what I'd love for you to do maybe to start is just introduce yourself. Tell us a little about who you are, your story a little bit, and the genesis of Get PostureFit. I'd love to kind of start there and then we'll get to it.
Absolutely. Well, I've been in practice for 30, going on 36 years. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. And I want to say it was about 10 years ago. I've always had a passion for posture, just always thought it was something very important to me personally, as well as when the patients come in. And so about 10 years ago, I was working with a patient, middle of the afternoon, and I was feeling a sense of frustration hearing that, no, I always forget the exercises, and then I just at that moment, I had that little light bulb moment that just brought this product into my vision. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I can put this together, I can have the patients do A, B, C, and then it's something tangible for them to work on. And this is something that will truly help them see themselves in a dynamic power posture position. And then I could put together a series of exercises that they can do. And that's how it all came to be. I went home and, kind of mocked up something. And then over the years, I was just using it in my own practice, but getting such great feedback from the patients that were there, which led me to patent my product. And then here we are today. Now that I've basically have retired out of the practice, I'm focusing solely on the Get PostureFit business. And so that's kind of like where I've been and where I am now and how it's servicing the patients in the practice.
I love it. What I particularly love is that pain was part of the genesis of the story. And it's so interesting, docs, that we're listening, Dr. Welch here today. We talk about pain, people move away from pain towards pleasure with the greatest economy of energy, the motivational triad for behavior. What's interesting is that pain is part of the process. Pain actually oftentimes initiates the process, and it's also part of it. And I know that for you to birth this business and to birth this idea has cost you a lot. It's cost you time, energy, focus, and money. So I am grateful for all the last decade that you've dedicated to this process, patenting it, the whole thing, everything you've walked through. There's a lot there. I'm sure you could teach us and share with us about. But let me get right to it. I'd love to talk about the problem that it solves, right? So we talk about every business exists to solve a problem. So you had a problem. You just described the story. Can you talk about that for all docs? So every chiro who's listening to this, has a business or is in the business. What is the specific problem you're solving? And I think it's really two parts. It's what are you solving for the patient with this? Because this is a resource for patients, but also what's the problem you're solving for the docs with Get PostureFit?
Yes, thank you. So what we're solving for the patients we're working on correcting or improving their posture. They come in slouched, they know it, and we want them as chiropractors to have the best results from coming to our facility. And in doing that, after their adjustment and they go back to their world of doing what they're doing, they come back in slouched again. And that process really, I saw that just as a continuous situation in my practice, so that when we started using PostureFit and the patients had that opportunity to see themselves in that ideal posture position and then saw the results of their chiropractic adjustments and they were participating in their care, it just became such a beautiful situation. The patient is so happy with what they're learning, how they're seeing themselves, how they're getting stronger in their ideal posture. And then the doctors can feel so great about it because one, it has, obviously revenue streams, but they have an opportunity to let the patient know, for our best outcomes, I need your body to be taken care of. You have a responsibility here. I love that with the patients because now they walk out of the office and kind of like scan their body, like, look at me. And it's such a huge blessing to know that we've had that impact. And clearly they're going to get their best outcomes in doing so. So they do it in the practice and then they do it at home as part of their lifestyle. And it's amazing.
It's interesting because we talk about, from attraction, conversion, retention perspective, right? The idea of building retention into your practice, like what would that look like? Well, a lot of it has to do with what somebody does at home, right? That's really where I find retention lives is when thinking about my spine and chiropractic is in the forefront of my mind. That keeps me, making my adjustments. So we teach the 3 legs of the stool, right? You're familiar with that, I know, Doc. And so, this fits in so beautifully with that entire diagram. The idea that my results live in the center point when I am making my adjustments in rhythm, breaking my bad habits, building my good habits, and doing my exercise at home. And when I do these 3 things at the same time, over time, that's where my results are. And you are enabling them to be able to, as a doctor, I can look at my patient, I can say, Liz, I'm going to give you this exercise to do, and here's why it's so important for you. They can come to full understanding agreement. Yes, I understand. You can teach them how to do it. Okay. Send them home with it. And then I love, like you said, because they're now a participant in their health beyond just, I'm just a consumer of it. Because I know we say, oh no, it's 100%, 100%. It's a done with you, done for you. But in the patient's mind, they still may consider themselves a consumer. I lay down, the doctor adjusts me. I need to go see my chiro. Versus I take responsibility for my health. This is part of that. Can you talk about that? Can you talk about how you're helping patients? So we talk about how are you helping the doctors reach more people through this? That's the big thing. So this is not only retention, but scalability. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I know it has the power to do that.
So was your question, how are we going to help the doctors reach more people?
Well, and I'm thinking in terms of both retention.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And attraction. So I'm thinking in both terms because it does it in both ways. So I love from your experience with this product, how is it doing that?
Yeah. So in the practice, when we have a patient and they're doing they're learning the system in our office, and then of course taking it home and being responsible, that creates such a buzz. So there's a lot of referrals based off, they come to us. So that's that practice that does all that posture work. Right away, the person's doing it at home. Then their spouse is like, oh, let me see that thing, and something tangible that they can, see that improvement right away and then build on that improvement. So that's really a huge thing right there. And it has been in our practice for years now. And then as far as that marketing piece, I think I told you when I started just doing PostureFit inside our practice before we started marketing it, we have a lot of golfers in our practice, and boy, they sure took to this. So now I speak into the golf audience rather frequently, and that is an unbelievable new patient acquisition opportunity because we have something they want, and then we could use that coupled with our chiropractic message. It's a beautiful opportunity to have inside the practice for the results as well as new patient acquisition.
I think that's significant for docs to know. So obviously, you think internal, external, and digital marketing, you think of all the different resources or tributaries for marketing. When you have a tool like this, it's actually really a great way to showcase. Yeah. And then we talk about niches, niching down in your industry, like, specifically targeting a specific, let's say, condition or even just issue. Posture is huge. And that's anybody can see, like, oh my gosh, my daughter, she's got terrible posture. Absolutely. Think about it. The father sitting on the couches looking at their kids like, man, my kids have bad posture. What's going on? They can't figure it out, even though they know their kids are playing video games and all that stuff. But it's like, and then you speak to them and they're like, listen, if you've got children, have you noticed how your children's postures are going down? I could just see this from an external marketing or a digital marketing perspective, just huge. And just say, listen, let's get your kids in, let's get them checked. And then immediately, hey, we're not only going to check your kids, we're going to give them resources to be able to get this corrected and keep that, because that's going to impact obviously all of the different, physiology that we can connect back to, pathology connected back to poor posture. We could teach that all day long as chiro. So now you connect both of those dots, and now patients are like, man, I don't know how I did it without this. Right. So that's, they see their life as better with you than without you. They want to include you in their life. That's so compelling. And that's why they come in, but that's also why they stay. So powerful. Can you talk about, this is a CEO podcast. We're talking business here. Obviously we're getting into some clinical things, which I love. Can you talk about the ROI a little bit? So, as a business owner, as a practice owner yourself, working with other business owners and practice owners, what are we looking at as far as the limited resources that we all have as practitioners, or our team has, time, energy, focus, and money. Those are the 4 limited resources. So of course, we always think, how's this going to help me make more money? But it's
Right.
not only that, even though that is one thing, but it's also, how are we gaining back time, energy, and focus to keep those things growing and moving forward by leveraging a product like Get PostureFit?
Yeah. Well, when we're serving a patient and we're serving them at the best level as we do in TRP, the PostureFit solution just is so aligned with the message here. And so as far as time is, in our practice, and then it's the patient at home, the energy, it's such a positive cycle for the patient. As far as the cost is a really nice return on investment for the doctor. We have an affiliate program that I think the doctors will love, and it's super simple. So the doctors can place an order monthly and service their people. And it's just very streamlined. So we get great results, improves our chiropractic outcomes. We have families coming in. And when you were saying that, I was just smiling, because there's so much of the teenage population now that has such poor posture. And this is the perfect solution because it's weighted and they really like the challenge of how it feels. And they can see the results right in the mirror right away. And I love that. So all of the things that you're saying there, there's so many benefits to the doctor's office, and it creates such a wonderful energy. Like, we're the people that are fixing the population of posture out there. Nobody else is doing that. And when the patients go to the gym, that it's not addressing their posture. They could be, doing all the weights in the world, but if they're not addressing that retraction with the bar, I don't think they're going to accomplish that same goal. So this is just a beautiful situation for ROI.
Man, Doc, I just can't tell you how excited I am. I mean, as you're talking, I'm just thinking about all the different ways I would, you can leverage this product. I mean, there's so many different ways you can leverage it. And, it excites me. And that's, again, why, when you first, started working, with TRP docs and became a success partner, I said, man, this is going to be such a good fit. This is going to be so good for you, for them, for everybody. So I could just keep going with you, but let's let our listeners know kind of how they can learn more, get in contact with you. What would you recommend a doctor who's listening to this say, hey, I want to learn more about Get PostureFit? What are the next steps for a doc to do here?
I think the best thing they should do is let me know their interest. My Dr. Liz Welch at getposturefit.com, and they could start with the communication with me, and then we could take them through the process of streamlining so that they can just go through getting their PostureFit systems going in their office, and they'll be excellent. All
right, you guys heard it here. So Get PostureFit is Dr. Liz Welch. Thank you for joining me here today on our Remarkable CEO podcast. And I look forward to seeing you at our next events and online in all the amazing spaces. And again, thank you for joining me, and for all of our amazing listeners, everybody who's out there. Hey, have an amazing rest of this week. And I look forward to seeing you and talking to you on our next episode next week. Until then, take care. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Pete.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.